My name is Vicky. What's yours, please?
I'm Dr. Chumunye.
Dr. Chumunye. Okay, in 1961, we know about the referendum that was given up to us to be able to choose English Cameroon and if to join French Cameroon or to join Nigeria. It's another 1st of October. What if there was another referendum? What will you choose?
I will choose the independence of the Southern Cameroons. The complete independence of the Southern Cameroons. Because joining La Republique has not helped the Southern Cameroonian at all. We are still living in bondage. Yeah.
So you would choose for Southern Cameroon to just stand on its own?
As a nation. We are capable of being a nation. So there is no reason why we should be annexed to another nation. We are suffering. If you look critically in Southern Cameroon, you will see that no meaningful development is taking place. The Limbe Deep Sea port that was highlighted many years ago till today, nothing has been said about it. The Bamenda Ring Road, nothing has been said about it. If we look at even the road leading to Bamenda, you will know that every other project in Southern Cameroon has been abandoned. And I will choose the complete independence of the Southern Cameroons.
Thank you very much, sir.
You are welcome.
On the 11th of September 2019, I invited Terence Banga Wakai to come and help me in responding to Paul Biya's speech to the world. It wasn't really to the Ambazonian people, it was to the world. To the world, to the international community that has kept him there. And in that discussion, Terence used two words which really poked at my curiosity. One was childish and the other was infantilize. And I spent some time, and because of that curiosity, I spent some time wanting to explore these two words that this gentleman used on Paul Biya, and I wanted to, kind of see whether he was accurate in these two words or not. And as I was so I took my dictionary, and childish is an adjective, and in the dictionary it says of, like, or appropriate to a child. So something is childish when it is of a child, or is like or appropriate to a child. Silly and immature, like childish enthusiasm, childish analysis. And then the dictionary also went forward to give some examples. People who are 20 years old but act like 9-year-old. People who scream like a little 7-year-old girl. When I read this one, I was like, please be fair to 7-year-olds because they're doing what 7-year-olds do. People who don't care about their responsibilities. People who don't care about their responsibilities. And I was thinking about this, and I'm saying part of the childishness that Terence was talking about is not only behaving like a child, it's also telling lies like a child. And one of the biggest lies that Paul Biya told in that his so-called speech was, he said, despite the efforts made by the government, radical movements, mainly inspired from abroad, have exploited and distorted the corporate demands. They have thus hatched a secessionist plan to partition our country. In this regard, they have formed and financed armed groups that have caused untold harm to the population of the Northwest and Southwest regions. I know that it is very hard, and I do see with I do see with Mr. Paul Biya in this situation that it is very, very hard to be a dictator in this day and age. In this day and age where the Android phones, the all kinds of electronics recording every moment. So everything that's passing, somebody is recording it somewhere. Anything that's happening, there will be a video camera, there will be some electronic capturing it somewhere. So it is very hard. And that can also be transmitted instantly. So it is very hard to be a dictator because dictators, especially dictators like Paul Biya, who who are really put there as plantation managers of foreign powers, and the only tool they have is force, it's very hard to manage a plantation. And you know, when these systems are designed, they're not designed with the consideration of people who live there. No, they're designed as a plantation where the plants are there, the resources are there, you just milk them. The people who live there, they are not considered at all. They are not considered at all. And so when they give Paul Biya tools, or when they select Paul Biya, they do not select him based on his abilities to manage people. They select him based on his ability to obey orders. Okay? Based on his ability to follow orders that are sent to him, based on his ability to understand what the master wants, and based on his ability to do what it takes to deliver to the master what they want. And so it is very hard because when you design a system where you forget that they are human beings living in there, and I guess you start forgetting about them when you think you are a god. The French must think they are a god in Africa, where they can come and ignore Africans and then put Paul Biya. And this was all designed in Libreville in 1944, where they said, we are going to pick one of them, especially one who is very, very acculturated to French, can speak the French language very well. We'll implant him in there, give him powers, and by him being in there and being the authority, he will become legitimate because the people will have to come to him to get anything that they want. And that will legitimize him. The fact that there will be nowhere else to go for their solutions or with their problems, it will legitimize this implant. And so Paul Biya was planted there, and he's become legitimate because the people don't have a choice but to go to Paul Biya. And so Paul Biya, in that environment, now thinks that he's also a god. And so he can make and unmake on people's lives. And he does that by force. Because if you do not consider these people other than beggarly, and this is where Terence's use of infantilize comes into play. And I was looking at the definition of infantilize. It says, treat someone as a child or in a way which denies their maturity in age or experience. And here's what the Cambridge Dictionary says. Infantilize means to treat someone as if that person were a child, with the result that they start behaving like one. So treat them as children, and because they have no option, they start behaving like children in order to have what they need to continue living. And that's where Terence was very, very accurate in his description of Paul Biya behaving like a child in the lies that he tells, forgetting that the world today is recording everything, that the information that the world gets does not depend on a state television where the dictator has control of. It depends now on other sources, and those other sources are really what I have gone to really prove to Paul Biya that what is happening in Ambazonia is engineered by the people in Ambazonia.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. In 1961, when our grandparents brought us into a union with East Cameroon to form the Federal Republic of Cameroon, it heralded a new departure in our history as a people. Over time, a dream that was built on trust and the hope that our people would peacefully coexist with our brothers east of the River Mungo was soon truncated by political manipulations and greed. The agreements that sought to protect us and our cultural specificity were systematically wiped out using grandiose phrases like national unity or national integration. Using a very diabolic system of patronage, our political and social values were dismantled with the complicity of our political elites. Our economic and social structures were plundered, and our manner of thinking changed. Our people were taught to admire corruption and greed. Our elected officials no longer served us, but the party to which they belong. Our educational system, which for long had been tested and proven, came under attack. Attempts were repeatedly made to harmonize it, thereby wiping out the last vestiges of what was still left out of our heritage. Using divide and rule, the government fanned hatred among us, and this blinded us to the gradual destruction of our system. Our natural resources were carted away, while our people languished in poverty, lack, or even deprivation. For more than 50 years, major parts of our once prosperous and urbanized territory were cut off from each other, while cabinet ministers competed to loot our wealth. Even structures that could stimulate our economy or make our lives better was hurriedly dismantled. Powercam, Cameroon Bank, the Produce Marketing Board, just to name a few. Today, the Cameroon Development Corporation, which is the highest employer after the state, is on the verge of complete privatization and eventual destruction like the others. Sonoral, which was built to process the black gold God blessed us with, has never served the interests of our people. We are not fit to run the company or get white-collar jobs there. In fact, it is nearly impossible for our children to even do internships over there. Even Jan Division, which has made this country economically viable, does not have roads. Its hospitals are among the worst in the country. Yet, we are expected to thank government and send motions of support to them for keeping us in bondage. Even the deep sea port in Limbe, which was envisaged 50 years ago, remains a pipe dream. My fellow citizens, it has become important to talk to you at this end of year about these challenges because it has been deliberate government policy to cause us suffering and the hardship that has disseminated our population. From the very outset, this government has despised, blatantly disregarded us, and even used derogatory names like les Biafrais, les ennemis dans la maison to qualify us. We are treated like conquered territory, with police and gendarmes always marching around us, arresting, raping, torturing, or killing us every time we dare to speak out. We were not wrong to feel that Cameroon is our country too, but the government tried its best to make us feel like strangers here. Peaceful as we are, we enjoy freedom of speech, but government wants us to be hypocrites who say what they don't mean or believe. When teachers and lawyers started writing to government more than a year ago to complain that our educational and judicial system were being francophonized, they thought that we did not have any cause to complain. Yet, we are all aware that the inundation of common law courts with civil law magistrates not only excludes us from the judiciary, but waters down the quality of the trade when one looks at the intricacies involved. Even in our hospitals, patients find it difficult to communicate with French-speaking doctors and nurses, with obvious consequences on medical care. When we complain that corruption had eaten into the fabric of higher education and that our kids were unjust victims, they still did not take us seriously. They asked us for proof, just like the one that sent a whole cabinet of ministers in jail. Yet, everyone knows that admissions into medical schools and teacher training colleges, ENS and NSED, are run by powerful rackets. Since our parents cannot afford the huge sums, students who perform outstandingly at the GCA levels watch in shock how mediocre, even those from converted schools, are marginalized. Our children has created a deficit in teachers to the extent that our Francophone brothers have to teach subjects they don't master in a language they cannot speak. We think it's unethical, a grave injustice to us and our children. In fact, it's morally wrong. The list of hurtful experiences abounds, but we are a peace-loving people who think that a return to the two-state federation, as it was in 1961, will restore the dignity of our people.
What's your name, please?
I'm called Keka Sylvester Tassi.
Mr. Keka, so if we're supposed to have another referendum, will you choose for Southern Cameroons to still remain with French Cameroon, or would you want them to just stand on their own, or what will you choose?
As a person from the English-speaking part of Cameroon, straight away I would say no, because personally I am not satisfied at all. It's true there was a marriage, but it was not fair. I think we were not given, as some people say, we were not given a third option. We were asked to choose either to join La République du Cameroun or to join the Federal Republic of Nigeria. But we would have been given the third option, you know, to be on our own. That would have been a better choice to me, because right now I think the Anglophone are really marginalized in this country. If you look at the government, getting an employment in the government is not easy at all for an English-speaking Cameroonian. If you go to the capital of Cameroon, which is Yaoundé, if you cannot speak Ewondo or you cannot speak J'étais, j'avais, you'll be nowhere to be found. You'll be lost completely. So I think if I were to choose again now, I will not choose to join La République du Cameroon.
The diaspora has no hand in it. In fact, if the diaspora were to really have an effective hand in it, I think things would have been very different. Things would have been very different. Paul Biya pushed the people to a point where they decided that they were human beings and they will fight back.
That independent now today go start. That independent now today will start. Yes. That independent now today. The people chasing the police officers and they don't want them to disturb a peaceful protest. The people are chasing the voice of the people. What does life in Bamenda? Life in Bamenda. Super. Life in Bamenda. I don't They are shooting the parents and the mothers in Bamenda. You know I can smoke whiskey for all my motor. You know I can smoke whiskey for all my motor for the line. I said don't smoke whiskey for all my motor. Yes. I said you can smoke whiskey for all motor for the line so. Finally, the Lord has done it. Finally. Gucci celebration is liberation. There you come, Gucci.
In that fight back, he promised them a bigger fight. But his bigger fight has failed. And right now, he's looking for excuses. And part of his excuse is to blame the diaspora. No, sir. The diaspora didn't have anything to do with it. In fact, the impact of the diaspora hasn't come in yet. It will be coming in. So you are roasting and baking right now only from what the Amber Boys are doing.
I want to make each and any one me understand what we fight for. We, the Restoration Force of Southern Cameroon, picking them for Ayok Tabe Sissoko. We know the fight now for federation. We know the fight now for 10-state federation or 2-state federation. We fight for the separation of Southern Cameroon. And we fight to say, we want land where it belongs to we, where to our ancestors them, and God for the world. If we don't give them for we own them, and may be under our control. So if it today, I come online as the colonel of Fako, I send you the message, a very strong message. Not be message for use and clown. Not be message for listening them, and you take them like saying a joke. A message why they send them for our people, the people of Ambazonian land, and I send them for the world, the Commonwealth, the African Union, the United Nations, even the people for la République du Cameroun. So we, the Restoration Force for Southern Cameroon, we don't decide say we must fight for free our homeland. Even if it go take we now 10 years or 15 years, we go stand for fight and free our homeland. No day where President Pobia go do am, where he go bring peace for the land, where he go bring peace for the country. If it be say we, the Ambazonian people, will not get our independence.
From what the Amber Boys are doing with their chaffums, with their Dane guns, if they were to have real guns, like you've been supplied by the rest of the world, I tell you, you'll be out of Yaoundé by now.
As you have seen, this is our second in command, AK. He's very happy with one of his soldiers.
Mr. Biya, I need to receive some of your. We need some of your.
He's holding our flag very proudly.
As you people can see, Mr. Biya,
he's jubilating. In fact, all the soldiers are jubilating for the work that we have done today.
So that the march pass will be very, very
important.
Yes, we need some security from Mr. Biya to come and secure us so that we can march for the celebration.
Celebrating Mr. Ayido's wife the birthday.
Yeah, we cannot enjoy chairman, but it is a celebration of integrity.
We will remain that Ambazonian. This is the, in fact,
bam.
Fuck
One
you,
time.
all the
Yes,
people.
This is all that regime speech that we are giving. To tell Mr. Biya that we need some security that can secure us to make the march pass.
We need 50 ammo cars for come now.
Yes,
now.
We dare not on top of ground.
They cannot. They are afraid of us now.
We are not afraid of that regime.
Those military people are afraid of us.
They cannot destroy us. They cannot neutralize us. We are above. We are bigger to chew. We are very large to put in your mouth and chew. We are very powerful. We are determined people. Nobody can stop us. We must restore our independence. This is the flag. This is the victory flying up like this.
So you missed an opportunity. You missed an opportunity because you're still delusionary. You're still delusionary. You're still thinking like a child. You're still thinking that you can tell lies and get away with, or that these lies could be amplified abroad. No, the international media itself was already informed by kids with their Android phones before. So you're really trying to catch up, and that's where you're losing this thing. That's where you're losing this. I think you really lost an opportunity. Not that people like you can see or exploit such an opportunity. It's only legitimate leaders who can come and say, you know what, my people are hurting. Before these people went this far, they are hurting. So let me help them. And I'm talking in a situation where they are your people. Unfortunately for you, the Ambazonian people are not your people. And that is the whole argument. They are not part of your population. They were pushed by the British and the United Nations in conspiracy with the French and given to your country. It was a gift that was given to you, but because the French and these new colonial governments like you are not there to make sense of anything. They're just there to loot. Because if they were there to make sense, the UN and the British give the people of Southern Cameroons to you. They come as a resource, and all they've been asking for is treat us fairly. You refuse to treat them fairly. How do you think you're going to keep them? You can't keep them because you think you are a god over them. You can't keep them because you think that you have arms. No. Only dogs and animals can be controlled by arms. Human beings are, and this was established a long time ago in Europe. Every human has the ability to think. And so we do not accept divine rulers. We do not accept kings and queens who think that they were sent by God to come and rule the rest of the world. No, that was dispelled a long time ago. And I'm so sorry that you're just stuck in that.